Hey everybody! In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create illuminated silhouettes. I fell in love with this technique after I saw one of our challenge hosts post it on Splitcoast, and here I'm giving you a sneak peek of a video to come. I'm using the We Must Celebrate stamp set from Stampin' Up! With the little critters. These are so cute, and I've seen lots of samples with them. But this one makes it look really different. I'm using the largest of my Hero Arts Circle Infinity dies to cut myself a semicircle from my favorite masking paper, which will be linked below. And I also wanted to show you a tip using the release paper from the stamps, the cling stamps. Now I took the negative space of the masking paper where I had cut out the semicircle, and I've adhered that to a card panel. And I'm just going to cut up a couple of pieces of sponge here. I'll be starting with Lemon Lime Twist ink. I'm making basically a little planet here. And I'm just going to sponge that all over. And then switch to Tranquil Tide for the bottom section, just to make it a little bit darker. And you don't have to worry about getting it perfectly smooth. But I do find that if I dab off the ink on my mat before I start sponging, I get a smoother look to the sponging. So now I will remove the top part of the mask, add masking paper that I've punched with my 1 3/8 inch circle punch. This is going to be a little moon. And then take the semicircle and position it over the area that I've already sponged. Now I'll do the same thing for the sky. I'm starting with Tempting Turquoise ink, so this will be my lightest ink, and making sure to sponge right up against the edge of that masking paper because I don't want a white gap between the little planet and the sky. And it's hard to see here in the video, but I do actually position that semicircle mat just a hair inside the edge of the planet. Because if that light blue overlaps a little bit, you're not really going to notice it on the planet, but you would notice a really bright white stripe in between the two of those. So I've switched to Pacific Point ink for the top, and I do want this top part to be darker. So I'm using Night of Navy. However, I want the area around that little moon to stay somewhat bright to make it look like it is glowing. So I'm avoiding that area with my darkest navy blue ink. Normally when you look at the moon, this is sort of what you see. So I'll slow this back down just a little bit. Sorry, I'm wiggling my table really bad. I guess I'm pressing a little bit harder than I thought. I also want some light to be given off on the planet itself because that's going to help you see my images a little bit better. So I'll leave a space there as well, just like I did with the moon. And the more you go over each area that you've sponged, the smoother you can make it. I like the kind of foggy, cloudy look, and so I don't work too hard at that. So when I remove the mask, you can see how cool the planet looks and how crisp the moon will be. And now we're ready to stamp. So I will take my Misty. I have customized my Misty with the turquoise tapes that she sells. I love those. And I'm going to position the little critters on my planet. Now the key is to make sure that none of their feet are sticking off the planet. That would be extremely unnatural. And weird. They cannot defy gravity as far as I know, at least not in my little scene. So I'm kind of feeling where the edges of their feet are, and then I'm also going to check by just closing the lid of the Misty to pick up the stamp, but also to show me where the edge of their feet will come out. Did get them a little crooked, so I'm fixing that. And then I'm just taking a peek just at the actual image itself to see where that falls. So I will take one more peek with the magnet since that fell out. And that looks good to me. No one is flying off the planet. So now we are ready to stamp. I'm going to use Memento ink because I will be using Copic markers. And you don't really have to worry about how well it's inked up or if you need to stamp it multiple times in the MISTI, and you will see why. So there they are, all safely on their planet. It was a little bit of a squeaker for the rabbit, but he's safe. And I'm just going to start coloring these. You can use any alcohol marker. I'm starting with the brush Sharpie just because it covers so much area so fast. But you can use all Copic marker. You can use a combination of Sharpie and Copic, whatever you like. I will need some finer point pens to get like those teeny squirrel ears and the little hands on the bear. So that's what I'm doing here. And I won't make you watch me do this whole thing. That would be extremely painful. So here's how they look when they're finished. And so what it makes it look like is that they are facing away from you. Now, if you had more room on your card, I just wanted to show you that you can use the little template that's left, the outline of the stamps, to create really realistic shadows if you hang on to that when you get your stamp set. Now, the last detail is just to add a little bit of light as you would see it if these little critters were really in the dark with the moon shining on them. So I will speed this up just a tiny bit, but I did want to show you what I'm doing. In some places I give them a little bit of texture, like on the bear that almost looks like fur is lighted up on his head, or lit up. It's Monday morning. I cannot think straight, and I certainly can't speak straight. But you just want to add little highlights all over. You don't really have to worry about light source, where it's coming from, if this is accurate. You're just creating a mood with the light that is shining on these little animals. And they're so cute. To me, it sort of looks like a scene from Guardians of the Galaxy. Now I'm noticing that I just didn't color his arm in. So I'm going to have to go back and fix that poor little fox. So, or is that a raccoon? I think it's a raccoon. I will color his arm black and fill him in all the way. But this is such a cute way to turn a line art image into a silhouette image. I will link you to the challenge post on Split Coast where I saw the transformation that she did of her stamps, and it is phenomenal. Hers was sort of a Halloween image, and I think this is just perfect for Halloween. But when I saw these little critters, I knew that I could make a fun little scene with them as well. There are other techniques and tutorials on Split Coast for how to turn line art images into silhouette images. One of them is a German paper cutting technique where you actually use cardstock to create your silhouette of the stamped image. That is an older tutorial from Split Coast that I just love. Now I'm using my N4 Copic marker to just draw out a general shape of the shadow of each animal. And I'm doing that because this is the lighter of my grays that I'm using today. And I want to make sure that I get the shape right before I commit to darker gray. So I sort of sketch them out, try to get the general shape of the animal, and then I come back and make the shadow darker with an N8 marker. I don't want it as dark as the animals, but I do want to make it look like there's a strong light source in the front that's casting a shadow behind them on the planet. But doing it first with a lighter marker really helps me get the shape right. So practice is art. So make sure you practice a little. So there's my little scene. Very fun, very sort of moody and atmospheric. And I chose a sentiment that I thought was just perfect since we're looking at the back of these animals and we're behind you all the way. So that's my card for today. Thanks so much for watching.